Hey guys, welcome to another F1 2016 video. On this episode it will be round 3 at China. We are currently 20th in the championship. If you didn't see the last video, please go and do before I spoil it. We were at Bahrain. So now for the spoiler alert. Wait. Alright, we'll go on now. I think we ended up getting off to a good start and then ended up coming 18th, so it wasn't a good round for us. Looking on to our next round, more so because we screwed up with a strategy call, I believe, or I had an accident, something along them lines. But so I ended up picking the softer tyre choice. I basically tyre degradation here at China is really bad, so I wanted more fast tyres just in case. I don't know if you remembered last time we did an upgrade on the chassis for research and development, and that upgrade came for China, so that was definitely good. I definitely noticed a big difference in the car, even though it was only 6 kilos. So moving on to our track acclimatization now. It was fairly easy. I ended up getting it done on the second ever lap around here in a while. So coming across the line right about now, we ended up getting a perfect score. That was pretty easy. Tyre management as well. Tyre management wasn't too difficult, but it wasn't completely easy either. Fortunately, we ended up getting another perfect score on all 4 laps, so that got us 50 resource points for that too also, I believe. So moving on to our qualifying pace. Qualifying pace, to be honest, was quite easy. If you look at our delta, we were up about a second coming into that corner, but I really been struggling with this sort of hairpin, getting the power down, getting out of the corner. I don't know why. I think I'm just too gentle on the power, but not to worry. We were still 9/10 up on our delta time, so that was good to know. It's sort of an indication that, you know, it's going to be a quick weekend. If that, you know, sort of, if we were that quick, it's going to be that good weekend. But so we go 50, 150 resource points. We got a perfect score on all 3 R&D programs. As for our team objectives, I did end up doing that car setup one just for the sake of like 10 resource points, which didn't really make much difference, to be honest. So here we count up our score, and we ended up with 467 resource points, so we can use that to make more upgrades to the car before the next round, which I believe is Russia. So more of a high speed kind of track, and being the Renault, we don't have much engine power, so this was sort of my reasoning to my next upgrade. I'll sort of weigh up my options. I'm going to upgrade the engine now, and then I will do the downforce next, because after Russia I believe we have Spain, which is really important on downforce, and then after that we have Monaco. So we sort of want a really good result in Monaco, and you know, the AI is really strong in Spain, so we want to sort of have at least half a chance with that too. So this is now into qualifying. This is our qualifying. I went out on low fuel and super soft tyres. This is my banker lap. The goal was to go better than 18th position. Now obviously we were one of the first cars out, so this is going to be rather easy. So I'll put the fuel into rich, and coming through the last corner now, activating DRS as soon as possible, crossing the line, moving into 7th, 8th gear, going right over to the left of the track. Turning in, braking and turning, try not to lock a wheel, really using the engine brakes to slow down the car, grabbing 2nd gear now to get the front in as far as possible, then turning left now, hugging this apex as long as possible, getting the car straight, getting on the power as early as possible, getting the power to the ground, getting out of that corner. So, and we now look to the left hand side. We brake at the start of the next triple strip, 100 meter board, into 2nd gear, late apex, again late apex, so it's sort of common on this track. Again getting on the power, you know, it's really important for tyre degradation. Turning in now in his left hander, going down one gear mid corner to get the front in, then switch back to the right, going down 2 more gears, and keeping 4th, looking in the right, braking at that driveway, that concrete section, into 2nd gear. So we're just keeping it in the track limits now, you know, getting on the power, trying to stay within the track. It's actually quite difficult, but braking at the 100 meter board, down to 2nd gear, late apex, approaching the next right hander from the middle of the track, pulling 3rd gear right about now, easing on the power really gently, only just getting the full power when I change to 5th gear. So you're really threading the needle there, and it's really important to come out of that corner so well, because you really need that that good exit to get as much top speed as you can onto this 1 kilometer straight. So braking in between the 150 and 100 meter board, almost down to, yep, 1st gear I used for this corner, so getting on the power again, sort of late apex, corner cutting a little bit, up through the gears, something with this final corner, a bit tricky, bit sort of odd. You know, it's not really a track like it. But yeah, grabbing DRS and across the line, ended up P4. Obviously, we were one of the first cars out, so by the time I got to the garage, you were already P7. I was really quite surprised. Our teammate Kevin Magnussen was P12, and he was about 1.3 seconds slower to us. So I was looking pretty good where we were. You know, I pretty much fast forwarded the time now. I wanted to sort of see whether I needed to go out for another lap. But we're holding P9 with 2 minutes left to go, and I believe just the last seconds, yeah, there we go, we dropped down to P10. So actually a really good qualifying result. I was really quite surprised with that. We sort of picked up our pace really in qualifying over the last couple races. I remember in Australia we had a really bad qualifying, and so that's definitely changed. It's good to see our upgrades are working for us. So I believe we skip now to the race. I ended up skipping first, and we'll check out our resource points. It was only like we ended up with 122. As for our rivalry update, we were already ahead of Kevin Magnussen leading into the weekend. Now, after qualifying quicker than him and whatnot, we ended up going above him to 27 points to his 17. So it's looking like really good towards us getting above him in the drivers sort of rivalry. As now our driver position, we are one up on, like, we went up 2 spots, so we are now improved that a lot. I remember we were like on the edge of the red after Australia, so that was pretty bad. But our race goals now, finish 15th or higher and beat Kevin Magnussen. That is the idea. That's what we're going to try and do in this race. It's nice and sunny here at China. Thankfully it's not raining, although that might have even helped us, to be honest, because it sort of equals it out. Moving on to our race strategy now, we're going to go on our super soft tyres, which obviously because that's what we qualified on. And then we're going to run into lap 3, and then we're going to put the mediums on and run to lap 14. So we're sort of trying to undercut a lot of cars by doing that, trying to sort of keep our track position and then hold off a lot of cars while, you know, their tyres sort of run out and they make extra stops. So to the race now, 5 red lights, away we go, off to a reasonably okay start. To be honest, my reaction time wasn't all that there, okay. Coming into turn 1 here, I thought better of it. I, you know, just sort of sat back, didn't take science straight away, but then they all moved to the outside and I was able to creep right up in front of, you know, a lot of cars that I overtook. Into turn 2 now, we're already P4 in the Renault. I was pretty dumbfounded by now. Getting the power down, I had the 2 Mercedes battling in front of me. Got the double toe here, moved towards the right hand side, braked early and still double overtake both Mercedes into turn 3. So there's both Rosberg and Hamilton trying to get the power down on the AstroTurf now. Absolutely bottled it really. Into this next left-hander, Hamilton got around me. I think that was Raikkonen on my outside. Sort of forced Raikkonen, forced the move there, and up the inside of Hamilton into this next right-hander. So I was really aggressive there, able to pull it off, luckily, with simulation damage that could have really turned out in a bad way if I made contact with either Raikkonen or Hamilton. So, moving on now, we coming up to this straight here. I was a little bit worried because Hamilton obviously in the Mercedes and I'm in a Renault, so the power difference is quite phenomenal, to be honest. And he had the toe, luckily no DRS. So I was looking back, I thought, oh, here he comes. But I was actually rather surprised that the Renault actually held up for this long, because I thought that Hamilton would have blown past me by now. Braking into the hairpin, I braked way too late there, got into first gear, and Hamilton, Raikkonen, and I believe that's Rosberg that have all gone past us in that one corner. So it's amazing really how one mistake can just sort of end, you know, like where I went from P2 to P5 in just one corner. So moving on now towards the end of that lap, we're coming down the straight here. We've got Daniel Ricciardo behind us. He's now on a toe. We choose to keep the strategy that we're on, and because of that we ended up sort of not forcing him around the outside, but that's no worries. We brake really late into here, back to first gear, switch Daniel Ricciardo, get the power down, which is really important, keep pulling gears, and we end up ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So that was actually a really good move. We seem to be, you know, holding our own here against Dan in the Red Bull, which I was really quite surprised with. So we actually pulled a little bit of air gap, and our DRS is now enabled, so that'll obviously help us down the straight. Coming into the end of that lap, we end up now pulling into the pits. This is my first time going into the pits, so I kind of went a little bit deep then, and I was really cautious here to make sure that I did not get a driver penalty, because I did not want to sort of end up back in that 18th position. I didn't want to drive through a penalty or anything like that. So I was just making sure I was playing it safe. I'd rather lose 1 or 2 positions than lose 10. So it's a really, really slow pit stop, 3.4 seconds. Daniel Ricciardo ends up jumping us in the pit, so that was really unfortunate. Obviously Renault versus Red Bull, the Red Bull being a better team, I guess the game obviously recognises that, and therefore that's why their pit stops were quicker. But I reckon if our pit stops were a little bit quicker, we would have ended up keeping our position. So we're in P20 now. Daniel Ricciardo is actually holding us up here on cold tyres. I decided to play it safe, I just sort of wanted to stick with Dan. Obviously he's in the Red Bull, so he's going to have a lot more pace. I just try to keep within that 1 second margin. Here we get DRS, so that was my aim. I just want to keep DRS, keep that sort of nice 1 second gap and stay with him for as long as I can. Let him sort of bring me along. Instead of battling with him, then I would have slowed him and myself up, and then my total race time would have ended up being longer, and we probably would have lost more positions further on when people on different strategies like the 3-stop and the 2-stop, they're probably going to end up jumping us. So it was sort of like a mindful thing just to do that. We ended up overtaking 1, 2, 3 cars in the pits as we go around Verstappen, and then Ricciardo and Bottas make contact, which really helps us out as we overtake Bottas around the outside of turn 1 or 2, and then back into the left-hander now. So we ended up in P16, jumped 4 cars as they made their pit stops. Obviously now they're on tyres that are 1 lap younger than ours, but we made that outlap really count. As we go past start-finish straight again for the next lap, it's now lap 6, past another 2 cars, so we are into P14. Not a bad result, to be honest, at the moment. Obviously more cars have still got to make stops, but a safety car would be quite nice around this time. We've managed to keep Bottas behind us, and I think that's Verstappen behind him as well. So we've actually got a little bit of pace in this race. As I say that, coming into the hairpin, like I said, still keeping Bottas behind us, teammates in the pit. So now that the stint that the rest of the cars were on is now coming to an end, so this is going to play into our favour, as this is the whole point of what we've done with the medium tyres, is to sort of favour us into this part of the race. So as we see, Kevin Magnussen's in the pits, so is 3 other cars, so that's another 4 positions for us. We are now into the top 10. We have now got 1 point for Renault at the moment. Now obviously when we came into the pits, I think I was like P5, so at the moment, there's still like that sort of 5 cars in front of us, obviously still on a different strategy to us, whether they haven't pitted yet or whether they have pitted and gone onto a soft tyre but still yet to make 1 more pit stop, so that might be the case. So that's hence why we're in P10, but we're still in a good position, still behind Ricciardo, and going good. As we see now, Fernando Alonso is out of the race and a safety car. So I went back into the replay, had a look at what had happened, and Alonso here just seems to pull over, pulls off the racetrack, and I thought maybe we'll go into this view and we'll see sort of what happened here. And I don't know, it seems like an engine failure, no smoke or anything, so I'm not sure really what happened there, but he sort of pulled off the road, and we ended up with a safety car. So that was, I don't know why that really was. I think that's a little bit sensitive for some reason. The safety car shouldn't have been pulled out. I mean, Alonso was off the track, but now this is sort of like a little bit of a glitch here. I don't know, come up falling too far back, and Button and Ricciardo going really, really slow. And I actually chose now to overtake Ricciardo and see what had happened, and it didn't say give the position back or anything. And I didn't. If I'd stayed behind him, I was going to get the penalties. So it went away, then it came back again. So I overtook Button, and now we're okay. We'll sort of that as it comes up again. So we're just trying to, obviously we were too far away from the safety car. For some reason Button and Ricciardo were going awfully slow. I don't know why. I don't know what the case is with that. I think, it's a bit of a glitch in the game. So the safety car came out, for really no reason. It came out a bit prematurely, and B, the 2 AI cars that were going too slow and causing me to fall too far back behind the safety car, which was ultimately going to give me a penalty, which is hence why I chose to overtake them 2 cars. So fortunately for us, but we ended up getting into 6th position now. We're behind Raikkonen. So I sort of skipped now, this boring section off, put the car into rich. Now I saved enough fuel, now we could run rich fuel to the end. So that was an ultimate bonus, and now we could attack these guys up front. I don't know what happened here. Raikkonen sort of moved over, and I thought we were going to get the green flag. Unfortunately not, had to give that position back, but it didn't work out too bad because I was able to get on the power, and then the green flag happened. So it all sort of worked into our favour a little bit, although there was a little bit of an air gap to Hamilton. The car behind us had gone into the pit, so that now left a little bit of a 2-second gap between us and Bottas, which is good because he was now out of DRS. As we attack Raikkonen now, my first corner here I'm really strong at, so I decided to take that dive into Raikkonen, get that position. I'm now P5, and I believe that's a Haas car coming first. Yes, it is. It is Esteban Gutierrez is coming first in this race in a Haas car. Now, obviously this is due to his pit stop strategy. He must be, because obviously I don't think he started in the top 10, so he was able to choose like the mediums to start off with, and that's hence why it's now lap 11, and he hasn't made a stop yet, and that's why he's now winning, because the safety car come out and he was able to stay ahead of everyone. So, I believe now obviously he's going to have to pit in this next lap, but he's doing an absolutely brilliant job holding up this train for us. We are able to, sort of gain a little bit here on the Mercedes and Vettel. Obviously now Gutierrez is going to pull into the pits at the end of this lap, I believe, so that will put us into P4. So we're one spot off the podium as I dive into the corner here. It was sort of an accident, half locked up, half brake late. I was really pushing, and Hamilton just got out of the way there. So again, the AI being a little bit weak in that sort of regards, not really aggressive in their defense, but ultimately we avoided that accident. As we look forward to Vettel and Rosberg battling Gutierrez now, they're going 3 wide into this hairpin. Now I was really pushing, but my tyre wear, wasn't great, and I didn't want to make a mistake and bin the car either. So we are now into P4, coming into lap 12 here at the end of lap 11, and Gutierrez goes into the pits as predicted. We are now P3. We are on the podium in a Renault as we look forward to Vettel and Rosberg going 2 wide. So they're really battling it out now, which is working in favour of us because they're slowing both, each other down by doing this. So, like I said previously, turn 1 for me has been really strong, and we make up a lot of ground here on Vettel and Rosberg. Turning this left-hander into turn 2, unfortunately because we're in the Renault, getting the power down and the grip's not quite as much as the 2 cars in front of us. So now I was just trying to sort of hang on. I wanted to sort of stay with them. I wanted to get into their DRS. I wanted to be able to stick with them and go forward. So I was really kind of pushing here, really trying to see where I was at, but I ended up breaking away a little bit, and this is at the end of that lap where I did end up getting DRS. They ended up pulling away from me, and there wasn't really anything I could do with it. But luckily for us, they were again fighting 2 wide now, which just kept helping us out because they just keep bringing us into this race more and more and more. Like DRS is now enabled, so it wouldn't have even mattered if I was close enough because I wouldn't have got DRS. It just, unfortunate for us because they got more power, and I decided to play this aggressive now and go up the inside of Rosberg and around the outside of turn 2, see if I could hold it there. Getting on the power now, unfortunately losing the back end a little bit, and Rosberg ends up being a little bit aggressive there and moves in front of us. That's no worries though. I then brake early here, release the brake early, try not to lock up, end up making the move on Rosberg up the inside. We're now into P2. Now this is unfortunately created a little bit of an air gap to Vettel. If I had gotten to Rosberg at that first sort of right-hander, the first turn, I would have probably been closer to Vettel, and I would still be in that DRS range, and then we would have been able to fight for pole or fight for first position down this straight. So it's now lap 13. We've got sort of a lap and a half to go. Obviously Rosberg is right behind us, so I was really pushing to keep him away. As we see going into the hairpin now, Rosberg around the outside. He can't get the job done, but we are very fortunate there to keep that position, considering that Rosberg had DRS and had a lot more power than what we do. So, coming through the last corner now, it's lap 13 going up now to lap 14. Here's the final lap of the race. Really pushing hard again. Rosberg's got DRS. I cover the inside now. I'm really just playing defensive. Vettel's gone too far ahead. I'm not going to catch Vettel. Now my focus is switched towards the cars behind me and keeping them behind me, because now if you look behind on the mini-map, we are creating a train of Rosberg, Raikkonen and Hamilton. So Raikkonen being the sandwich there in between both Mercedes. As we come now onto this long sweeping corner onto the straight, we understeer a little bit on the exit there, which washed off our speed. Rosberg, Raikkonen and Hamilton got a really good run. But using DRS, Rosberg goes around the outside, Raikkonen's on our left. Into the braking zone now, I brake early, and it ends up working out for us as we end up diving up the inside of Rosberg. This is like 1 corner to go now, getting onto the power, up the gears. Coming into the final turn now, unfortunately Rosberg has skipped ahead, so there's nothing we can't really battle him there. We get DRS and we're going to cross the line, and it's a absolutely fantastic 3rd position. We are on the podium in a Renault. So, unbelievable scenes here at China. it was a crazy couple laps at the end there, and I think our strategy really worked for us, going on their medium tyres and making them tyres to last, not battling with Ricciardo at the start really helped us out. So that's why we were still in the fight towards the end of the race, and that safety car come out pretty much the optimal time for us. So I think everything kind of lined up for us in this race, and that's why we ended up getting a 3rd position. You know, that's a lot better than our 18th position that we got last race. So I think, you know, these upgrades are really working out for us. You know, this next now engine upgrade will help us with these long straights. As you can see, looking at our best lap time compared to others around us, we are nowhere near. Like, we are 40.7. Like, really, we're only good enough for sort of P10. So we were very fortunate to hold off them, the faster guys, you know, towards the end there. So really happy with the result. Looking like our next round's at Russia, so I hope to see you all then. If you liked the video, if you enjoyed the video, like the video, and if you want to see more, subscribe, because there will be more career videos coming, and sort of a little bit more online videos and stuff from F1 as well. So that now puts us into 5th in the constructors, and yeah, thank you all for watching.